Hello and welcome to another edition of DIY Indie Musicians Talking Music. It's my pleasure today to have Emilie Lierre as my guest. Hello, Emilie. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm all right. How are
All
you?
right, I'm doing just fine, thank you. So Emilie is a very new signing at Lights and Lines, which I'm happy to have on as a guest. And you've you released a single and then you just released the album too. So the
Yeah,
single was Extraordinary
yeah,
and the album is The Wanderer, which we'll get
yes.
into in a minute. So why don't we just talk about the whole experience? How'd you get signed? How'd that all happen?
So a networking night actually. Trying to remember how I found out about said networking night. Probably just on pages on Facebook, that
Mhm.
musician groups that I'm in. And I thought, you know what? It was in Brighton. I'm in Portsmouth, so about an hour drive. But I just thought, no, I'm going to go see if there's anyone similar to me. Sort of go through whatever. It was a really great evening. Like Mike was there talking about what they do and a few other people as well. And then at the end, you could all get up and talk about yourselves. And mine very much was like, I feel like I'm getting somewhere, but now I'm just in the rut of what else am I meant to be doing.
Right.
And yeah, I went outside and Mike was out there and I was like, yeah, I out of all the people that were talking, like everybody was lovely, but I just
Yeah.
what he was saying and he was talking about, I got it, and just a very nice, approachable man.
He
So
is at that.
he's wonderful. He's so good. And I watched his interview with yourself on here.
Okay.
Oh, and I just loved it. Both of you, I just thought, yeah, and he's so right in everything that he's after, and it's the things that I sort of want and what my music's about.
Yeah.
So we just got chatting, and he just said, "Look, send me your stuff over to me.
Mhm.
I'll have a listen. It may not be what we're looking for because
Right.
what they want for the label, but even if it's not, then he'll still give me advice in where to go, what to do, and what not." And yeah, he called me and then he was like, actually, no, we do want to get you involved. So that was really good. I was like, oh, nice, because I've been sat on this EP for a long time. And I don't know, I didn't think it was good enough, but Mike called me and just went, no, you're wrong, and I think it should be released. So
Right.
it gave me a good kick up there.
So the EP itself then had already you'd already produced it then?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how did you do that? Did you go into a studio or do you have a home studio?
That
I
was
know
it.
it must be a pretty simple setup because the whole thing is basically just you and your ukulele.
It is.
So
Yeah, like I'll do it the short story of it, but I wasn't getting what I expected from paying this person to do my album. So
yeah,
I just said, I'm not paying you anymore. What I want is just record me and my ukulele, one take, and that's it, and we're done. Do you know what I mean?
yep,
I need to get something from this, and I'm not, and I've paid enough. Yeah, so that's why it is just raw, stripped back. Literally, each one is one take. So there's so many. It isn't perfection, but in a way, that's quite beautiful at the same time. But yeah, it's definitely
yeah,
yeah, I love that EP for the rawness of it.
yeah.
But yeah,
But as well, I imagine that the songs you'd practice them all countless times when you were busking.
yeah, they've
So
been.
you knew it down pat, and it was just a matter of going in and doing a good take of it.
Yeah, like there's certain ones like Extraordinary, Out Here Tonight. I need to remember what I've actually named them on the EP because I change the names all the time. I think it's one
Not
of the
anymore. Not
old
now.
ones.
That's done. Those days are done.
But when it came to Goodbye Love, that one I had just finished.
Hmm.
And so there's a lyric or two wrong in it to what it is now. But again, it's still one of my favorites. That would be all the song that I'd send to people to listen to if I wanted them to
Right.
get an idea of my music. But yeah, there's a few things where you're like, okay, well that's changed now. But I like that because now the growth is completely different because it was 4 years ago.
Mm.
So yeah, I've been sat a long time on this.
Well, no, that's an extraordinarily long time.
Yeah, Yeah.
But it's great. It's great that it's out in the world, and
Mm,
wonderful, great voice. I have to say, I
thank
love
you.
your voice.
Oh, thank you.
You know, it's that right mix of throaty and very recognizable. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
really. It's not the standard sweet sort of female vocals, and I'm actually just looking at the material you've got it. So you're planning on your next release, and this is going to be with a band. I'm
Yes.
really looking forward to that
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
think that will
Yeah, it's gonna
for
come
all my love
alive.
of the ukulele,
Yes.
you know, it is rather a limited instrument, isn't it? I
Exactly.
mean, it's really
Exactly.
just it's a great instrument as sort of a chord accompaniment
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
singing. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. So, what are you actually planning with the next recording, stylistically? Are Because of course having a band is going to change the whole dynamics of things a
It's
lot.
still
Are you going
music
to be
live.
Are you going to be sort of belting more? Is it going to get a little bluesier?
Um,
What
this is
kind
the
of
problem.
are
So
you planning on playing? Are you putting
no,
together a
hopefully
band, or is
not.
it just going to be?
I will not be playing. I might play a couple.
No. I meant
Um,
playing with a band rather
no,
than
with a band.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's actually a friend of mine. Um, her friend has set up a studio and it's in France, lo and behold, Paris. And for
yeah.
a while, I have been asked to go
Right.
and to do these recordings, but
Hmm.
money, COVID, lots of things that have happened to stop it. So, January, it is happening.
Exciting.
My vision is I want to re-record this CP, but I
Yep.
also want to throw on 2 songs which should have been on there but weren't completed because I am such a perfectionist. So
Yep.
there's 2 songs which really are the Wanderers songs, and I want them added on to make it a full album, but all
Okay.
of the songs revamped. I My problem is when it comes to other instruments, I couldn't necessarily say I want this played like this, but I can hear
Hmm.
what I don't want. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
someone will play it and I'll go, I don't, that's not it. But then say someone could play something else, I'll go, that is it.
Hmm.
That's what I want to hear. So I think it's just going to be a really nice messing about project. Just loads of musicians, hopefully, just coming together, and yeah, we'll just see what comes out of it, and really bring these songs alive to what they should sound like. They
Definitely.
sound lovely raw, but yeah, I just think they're going to be even better. And then there's other songs that I've written that I wouldn't mind recording as well. So it just
Hmm.
depends how much time we get, and how much time they're happy to give me too. So if that happens, then I've got new music which is very different to this stuff that's been written on there. So it'll be
Hmm.
interesting. Hopefully, I'll have a load of stuff to share next year with people.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
No, that's
timing
really.
is working.
Yeah. No. It's and so have you worked with any bands before, or is this going to be a new experience for you?
Yeah, so I originally, when I did musical theatre at university, and then
Okay.
when I left uni, I joined a band, and we were
Hmm.
very like rock, which I loved. I loved being in a band. It's what's made me sort of go, actually, I like being me on stage and not a character.
Yeah.
Still a character, but not, yeah, told what character to be. So I worked with a band then, loved it. But that's what put me onto the ukulele, because we were always changing the music to be lower for me. So
Hmm.
I then started realizing I couldn't practice at home because the music didn't exist for what I wanted. So that's where the ukulele came into it. Like when we ended up just separating in where we were going, I picked up the ukulele because it is the easier instrument to play. And yeah, that's where I started thinking, actually, I can write all right.
Yeah.
So I've had little bits and I've jammed a lot with people.
Okay.
But yeah, not necessarily as much band as I'd want in my life.
Hmm.
Like
Well,
I,
hopefully that will change.
yeah, it's when you find the
Now
right
that you're on
people.
more of a role.
Yes,
And listen, I have to say, in terms of busking, the ukulele is probably one of the smartest instruments, isn't
it's
it?
easy.
I mean, unless it's going to be harmonica, you know,
Very.
which is probably even smaller. You can just put it in a pocket.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ukulele, you know, it's just like you notice there aren't many buskers with like stand up bass
Yeah, no, exactly. Because how are they getting
or a
there?
drum kit, right?
Sometimes you watch them though, and they do exist, and you
Oh,
go,
I
"How
know.
are you doing that?" I find it hard enough with what I've got, let alone then adding
Yeah.
anything else onto the mix, but
Well, the one I find hilarious is the stand up the contra bass where the case has the little wheel. I
oh,
don't know if you've
yeah,
ever
yeah,
seen
yeah,
them, and
yeah.
they'll wheel them around. I always thought that
I
was
don't
great.
know how those little wheels do it with such a massive
Yeah.
bang.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you have to, right? You can only imagine,
Yeah,
I always felt so sorry, for the bassist and for the drummer in bands.
did they ever turn around and go, I made the wrong decision? Like they
Who
must love
knows?
it, but it is.
Yeah.
I suppose now with electric drums, you do that, and you
You
can
know
do
what, though?
some.
None of them will play them. It's funny, I most
Ah,
drummers will not play the electronic
ah,
drums.
blasphemy! I've just.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
It's
"Have
like
you?"
I have an old drummer from a band I used to be into, and I keep bugging him. It's like, "Get some electronic. I'll buy some electronic drums." But it's just like, "No." Great. You know?
You
I
can
mean,
buy
I
them.
can understand why, because it's like, yeah, I can imagine it's a feel thing or
Yes,
whatever.
yeah,
I guess they don't look cool enough, or I'm not sure quite what it is. But in terms of practicing, there's so much more practical,
yeah.
you
No,
know.
exactly. To be able to
I,
cart it about.
but who
But
knows?
also
I mean, the thing is with drummers and bassists, the reason why they'll never not be in a band if they want to be in, right?
yeah, they normally have their fingers in a lot of
Yes.
pies.
We singers and guitarists were a dime a dozen. I
Yeah.
mean, it's whether we're good or not, that's a whole different thing, but there's a lot more of us. A
Yes.
bassist will always have a job
Yeah,
because
that's
every band is
true.
always looking for a
Yeah,
bassist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that is so true. It's so true.
Yeah,
And I think sometimes I forget to think about it like that as well.
yeah. You almost have to, you
Yeah,
know?
because it is. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of like you say, good or not. Because sometimes I can go somewhere and I'll be like, I'm starting to get more gigs. And I'll go somewhere, I'll be like, what? I feel like I'm a part of that person, if not like something different to that person. And how are they getting all these gigs? And I'm not. But like you say, it's a lot of competition and a lot of just people doing the same thing, isn't it? A
Yeah.
lot of people, a lot of singers. We all want to be the front person.
Well, some do except for the bassists and drummers, you know?
Hmm. Mm.
I'm guessing. Who knows? So what ended up getting you out to Australia? And did you go there planning on busking, or was it just out of desperation at some point to stay there longer?
What am I gonna do with my life? Um, it's actually the same friend. So her name's Merla.
Okay.
We worked together in Southampton,
Mhm.
and we were working together at the time. And she was about to go to Australia, and as it's sort of written from the label, I was in a relationship where yeah, it was just time. I think we would have kept going round in circles trying to fix something that might not necessarily have been able to be fixed. And Merla just sort of said, why don't you come to Australia then? And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And I don't think I would have ever even thought about it. But yeah, so I went and joined her. And then the busking, I think one walking down Melbourne and I'm like down the streets, I must have seen buskers about and been around it a bit more to really take it in and be like, wow. And also, I was at the point where I was like, I don't want to work in hospitality while I'm traveling. I could do that. I can do
Yeah.
what they're doing, and so that's what I did. So I started off without an amp, and I had a top hat which we found in the house that I was staying in, and so I took the top hat out, but because it was quite windy, the top hat kept blowing away. So I had bananas to eat. So I put the bananas in the top hat and put a sign out saying "Bananas accepted, tips preferred." And that's probably like my most favourite sign ever.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing very well busking at that point.
Yeah.
And then just slowly I started to get like an amp and microphone and build up looking a bit better as a busker, really. My amp at that point as well was like this big. I didn't have much money, so it
Mhm.
was very small, but compact. So yeah, so it wasn't planned, but I ended up absolutely loving it. Anyone who is ever thinking to busk, they should just go and do it. Go and do it. It's you just meet the best of people. You meet all sorts of people. You'll meet the best and the worst. Sometimes you turn into a counsellor as well, but it's great. It is great. Love it.
Well, you become part of the street life, don't you?
Yeah, and people
So,
just
so
like
you get to meet every other aspect of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the other day I was finding it like a proper struggle to get myself out, and I was just not feeling myself. And I kept having to say to myself, whenever you go busking, just go. Whenever you go busking, you have a great time. Just go, you'll be fine. And lo and behold, I did. And it's also knowing that though I might not be feeling myself, as soon as I notice that I'm spreading joy to other people, that you just can't help that. All of a sudden I finished, and it was like that morning wasn't even the same morning. So it is just, yeah, people are lovely. Like, so and there's a lady down the high street I go to at the moment that wears a motorcycle helmet, but she doesn't drive a motorcycle, but she'll always come down the street dancing to my music and do a little like, and I love her. She makes my day as soon as I see her. I'm like, yeah, she's out again. So yeah, it's such a rewarding thing, busking, for many things. So,
Although I imagine it's more rewarding in Australia, where the weather is nicer, than
yeah,
in England, where
yes.
I can't imagine it being much fun in the rain.
It's not much fun in the rain, and people are miserable in the rain. It's finding spaces to go to. And I think that's where I can be a bit naff sometimes, because then I'm like, oh, it's a rainy day. I'll just I'll write something or do something else, and it's sort of like figuring it out. But Melbourne, they say it's 4 seasons in one day, and it really was sometimes. So it could be quite similar, but once it gets cold here, last year I busted my finger because I didn't think about warming my fingers up, and yeah, 6 months had to rest. I couldn't play the ukulele. Yeah, it's harder here, apart from when the summer's here for 2 weeks, and then it's like, yes, quickly, get out there now. But yeah, Australia was lovely, so many places, and it's just, I think also because I was a tourist, you enjoy it a bit more because it's not where you're from. Whereas it took me a long time to actually get myself out in England and busk, because I was like, oh, but I know England, whereas I don't at all. So I did do a little tour down the country, but it ended up, like you say, it poured down all the time. I had to come back. I was wasting money because I wasn't making any money busking, because it was actually like soaked you in seconds. So yeah, it can be a bit hit and miss.
Yeah. No, it's so you where were you in Australia? So you were in Melbourne, I imagine Sydney as well.
Yeah, Coffs Harbour. I was doing my farm work there, so
Okay.
Coffs Harbour. Went over to Hobart. I then Adelaide, and then up to Uluru and Kings Canyon. So I did like a little tour up there, and then back round to Sydney. I didn't make it to Cairns, unfortunately. But yeah, mainly around the south.
On, I guess it would be the East Coast.
Yeah, would it count as east?
Because the Western Australia, I imagine that's where the West Coast is, right?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Where Perth is. So,
yes. My geography is not my strong point.
Well, I mean, I think it's I've noticed Australia is a little bit similar to Canada, just inverted, because Canada, all the population is right on the southern border of the country. Whereas in Australia, it seems to be mostly just on one side on the coast, where Melbourne.
No, exactly, because you will get to a place and it's vast. You know what I mean? Whereas you can see the really proper tourist areas, and we were quite lucky that we did still do these nice little road trips. One of my songs, which is the song that I want to put onto this album, Drive, is all about, literally, we had nothing and we were doing some of the best like little adventures around the place. And then from there I then went to New Zealand, but I only did the South Island for that. But I did do all of it, so that was nice.
And was this all before the COVID lockdowns?
Yeah.
So you were luckily you did that
Yeah,
And we're
quite a
back.
few years ago. I think it was 2017 that I
Oh,
did that.
wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how long the album's been
Well,
like.
no, but well, that's the thing. It's hard to sort of wrap the mind around that. You know, it was
And
that
yeah.
long in the making, as it were, right?
Oh my goodness.
You were lucky that you did it then. I mean, especially because they locked down it probably even far harder than here in Canada.
Yeah,
So
no, I know. So I
I
had
don't think it would have been
shows.
a lot of fun in either of those
No,
countries in the last few years.
well, that's literally what went through my head. That I was just like, oh my goodness, if I was doing that and busking, I
Well,
don't
you
know
wouldn't have
what I
been
would have
busking.
done. No,
They would have thrown you in one of
hopefully
those
they would have thrown
camps,
me back home.
or
Because
yeah, or
you
thrown
remember
you
like
back
the
home.
hotels they had or the hostels they
Yeah,
had, and people just weren't allowed out. I was just thinking I wouldn't have the money to support being locked in for ages. So,
yeah.
yeah, I was very fortunate that the travel did happen then. So I feel everything happens for a reason. It's everything that has happened, and even the time that I'm taking with most of my writing is there's reasons for it. It'll work out for whatever reason.
No, definitely. So when did you start singing then?
Um,
Have you been in when were you first in bands? Was that back in high school, that era, or
no,
grammar
those
school,
ones,
or whatever?
yeah. I think I did do one band when I was in college,
Hmm.
and that was just for a charity event. So we just sort of got together. No, I still would have been 18 because I was working in a pub. So that was the first band. But like I said, I did musical theatre, and my family have always been very much um, into musical theatre on my dad's side. So
Okay.
we did a lot of Amdram as well. So I sort of grew up like sort of
Hmm.
doing that. And I think I was in a panto when I was 13. So I always said I want to be a singer. And my mum just said, I'll sing along to the radio. So I thought that's what you did. So I did. I took her advice and I did that. And
Yeah.
then I was given Castle on a Cloud to sing in a pantomime. And that's when my mum and dad sort of went, okay, yeah, maybe we do need to get her some vocal lessons. Not because I was terrible, because actually
Yeah.
maybe we do need to sort that out. No, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, no, she's being serious. So
Yeah.
that
And I guess that's what got you into doing then the musical, going into the
yeah,
musical
yeah.
stream. Yeah, musical theater stream.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think I still love musical theatre, but and to like Les Miserables. So my name Lierre, it's for two reasons. So Lierre means ivy, and that was my nan's name, who was
Hmm.
just fantastic singer. I think we all idolize her.
Hmm.
She could do every character, everything. Her voice is just insane. And then Lierre, the French is because I wanted to play Eponine in Les Miserables. So I sort of found a way of forming the two. So I still love going to see musicals, but I don't
Hmm.
necessarily see myself up there like I used to, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. It is,
Yeah.
yeah, I like writing my own stuff. It's such a good way of therapy. Sort of
Hmm.
like, yeah, getting stuff out that might be
Yeah.
upsetting you or whatever.
Yeah, I think for me, unfortunately, a lot of musical theater, it sort of devolved, I find, into a certain style of singing
Yeah,
that they use that I don't know. It's like a lot of the musicals that I really like were pre all of that. If that
right.
makes any sense, and the singing was more natural than this style. It's very stylized now.
Yeah, no, I
And I
completely.
find a lot of the modern musicals, because I quite like musicals as well, but I find a lot of the modern ones, I just no interest
Where
in
they're
them.
going, yeah. Well, that would
You
have been
know?
my nan and grandpa sat listening to BBC Radio 2 on a Sunday, just like, "What's that?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
this?"
Well, I mean, it might just be I had a harrowing experience with cats,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, it's the one thing I think I've ever walked out of at the end.
Oh, cats.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh no,
right.
the after the 12th reprise of Memories,
Oh,
I was
no.
just done. I was done
Yeah.
with it, and
Way to ruin a good song.
yeah, it's not even that a good song. It's a good song, but is it that good that they need to? There was nothing else there, and anyway.
Yeah,
And
no, I get you
I
though.
don't know the performance and that we had and the troupe that was doing it, because it was obviously it had been touring for a long while.
Yeah.
at that point. I just never. Anyway, it's just one of those things.
It's such a shame, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
you like to do a love, but you anything overdone, do you know what I mean? You'll just
yeah,
go, "No, I'm
yeah.
done now." Like you say, I'm walking out.
Yeah, well, I think it's better that way. I mean, partly too is like I would say I'd be much more of a fan of something like Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
which was built around really good songs,
yeah.
right? And not just one of them. There were a lot of them.
Yes, 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 yes.
Or something which was less my thing, but I know it very well because my little sister was obsessed with it. Grease.
See,
I
that
heard
I
every
used to
single
get
thing off
that
Grease
younger.
as well, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
but there were a lot of good songs on there.
Little Shop of Horrors,
Yeah,
those
Little Hot,
2,
that's
they're
another one.
great,
And none
great
of those
songs.
had that cloyingly, you know what I mean? It's just like that it sort of it feels to me as if it's like almost like an assembly line way of singing. Because
Yeah.
anyone who sings it sounds exactly the same.
I think sometimes it's what's wanted, isn't it? Because it's like Stephen Sondheim, he always wanted it that you sang it. He had very complex songs, so I sort of get that he wrote it to be sang a certain way. Do you know what I
Mhm,
mean? But
mhm.
his songs are incredible. So I don't know, but I know what you mean with some of it, where it's a hard world getting into musical theatre
Well,
because
and I
people
think
have a way that they want you to be. Do you know what I mean? And like you
yeah.
say, some people want the exact same voice, and actually, you're not always
Well,
going to get
it
it.
does make sense though, because they'll have 15 touring companies all doing
Yeah,
performances, and they want to have it's like a McDonald's burger, right? It should
yeah,
taste the same everywhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I think that that's probably what's caused it,
yeah.
but that's exactly why I dislike it.
I
because
get that.
because when you go
Yeah,
like when you go somewhere different, I don't go to a McDonald's, right? I
yes,
go to have the local cuisine.
yes, yeah. No, I
And
get
you
you.
know, and the singers I like are the singers that have more personality,
Yeah,
especially the
I
ones
like.
where you hear one note out of their mouth and you know who it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No,
but
I
again,
think
it's a taste thing, right? You know,
I get you though, and I think that's probably what I felt would be happening with me if I'd done it. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I said, I'd still very much watch musicals and absolutely love it, but it wasn't the route for me, and probably for that exact reason that
mhm,
you're sometimes you won't get the role because you're meant to have brown hair instead of blonde hair. Do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
my nan always said you had to be thick skinned. You had to be thick skinned because half the time they could be actually just pointing things out that are you. It's like,
mhm,
oh, well, we don't want, and already this world makes us tear ourselves apart, and let alone then everybody needs to look the same, sound the same, and
yeah,
be the same. So, no, I can get you with that very much. So,
yeah. No, it's too bad in a sense, but it's the same thing with all those talent shows.
well, a lot of music now that comes
Yeah,
out is just like, oh my goodness, like it's just not really much soul to it, but
no,
I think sometimes that's wanted not by the public, but by the powers that be, because it's easier if we're not really thinking, and
yeah,
if we're not putting little seeds in people's heads going, but could this be
yeah.
better? It's better just to, yeah.
I also think the industry has shrunk so much from its heyday
In the regards
that
to less people in it, like
well,
less.
no, just less money being made,
Ah, okay.
you know, and less sources of income.
Yeah,
And if you think back to like the 1980s, a big selling record then was 20 million copies, 30 million copies.
right.
And that was before you could download it or anything, so you had to buy
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And you know, it's 10 pounds or whatever it was at the time. You know, it was a
yeah,
fair price. Um, and they were making lots of money.
yeah,
You know, and there was more, and there was still the residue of the sort of art A&R, where you know an artist was given enough time to establish their voice and have a chat and become successful. Because if you
yeah,
look a lot of the artists who became greats, their first few records weren't successful. David Bowie, there's a perfect example.
yeah,
How
yeah,
many times did he have flops or things that
yeah.
didn't sell?
Well,
Three
he
or
was just
four?
such a mad writer, wasn't he? Because
Yeah,
there's even time I love David
Yeah,
Bowie. And
but I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. He
no,
had the
exactly.
one
I
hit
sat in the
with
car
he
and
had
I
the
was like,
one
"Who's
hit
this?"
with he had the one hit with the Starman,
Yeah,
and then nothing. 2 or 3 albums that were flops. He then produced one of his most brilliant records, which was Honky Dory,
right.
and it didn't really sell. And they went right
Yeah.
back into the studio to do Ziggy Stardust.
Ah, because I'm trying to think what album it
Yeah.
was that my dad just listened to, and I was like, "Who's this?" And he was like, "It's Bowie," and I was like, "What?"
Oh, the
That's
early stuff. Yeah, the
crazy.
early stuff's unlistenable.
But
But
it's
part of it,
great
it
in a
was him
way
trying to figure out his musical style. And
because he
but that
was theatre, wasn't
but what you
he?
have to
He
think, he had the opportunity to do that in recording studios with
yeah.
music, which is nothing like it is these days.
No,
In a sense.
exactly.
On the other hand, we all have our home studios now. So as musicians, you've got a lot more flexibility than you did, and it's a lot easier and a lot
True.
cheaper.
But
But
then it means the stuff's everywhere, doesn't it? Which is great because it means that people have this platform to do that. Even when I set up my own studio, it sounded I don't know what I'm doing apparently,
yeah.
because I'll go to someone else's studio. I was doing a live recording with someone the other day, and straight away he just did like one thing. I was like, oh, that's as it should sound. Whereas when I was doing it, I was pressing all these things, and I was like, why does it sound so tinny? But it was probably I've obviously done something, God knows. But yeah, it
The
is good to
room, the microphone, there's all kinds of, you know,
mm,
all kinds of things that have an effect, right?
yeah, exactly.
And it's not as easy as it's one of those things that's not as easy as it looks.
No, it isn't. And I need the patience to sit there and actually understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Saying that I'm redoing my website at the moment, and I know that I'm going to need to watch some YouTube videos to tell me exactly what is going on these things. So because
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, you got so much that you want to be able to try and do. That's why I'm very fortunate that someone has offered to record in Paris because it's one less thing I need to think about doing,
Yeah.
and it will sound a lot better than what
Oh,
I
yeah, but especially if you're going to do it with a full band and
so
it's
yeah,
all using acoustic instruments and things like
yeah,
you need more. Like I'm lucky in the sense that any music that I do, I can do it all in my home studio because
yeah,
outside of my vocals, everything else just is directly plugged in. So
yeah,
you don't have all the issues you do around microphoning things like drums, a bass,
yeah.
having the amplifiers in another room, and
No,
all this crazy stuff that you don't have to deal with when it's all digital.
yeah. No, very
But
true.
you know, and you need, well, with acoustic you need an engineer. You need someone who knows the technical end of it, and a room.
Yeah, and
It's
it's just
amazing how
knowing that,
much
like,
room acoustics will affect the sound, right?
everybody's good at different things, isn't it? And
Yeah.
sometimes, like, you go, oh, in music, it sometimes feels like you need to be able to do everything, but it's sort of realizing that actually not always are you going to be great at these things.
Yeah.
It's great that I could. So on my Instagram, not my Instagram, on my YouTube, my brother did a wonderful video for the song Drive, and I recorded it
Mhm.
under the table during COVID.
Yeah.
And it sounds okay, but it isn't as good as when somebody else does it. I was still able to do it, that I could release that.
Yeah.
But it's so much better when somebody knows what they're doing. And I'll hold my hand up and go, I don't know what I'm doing with that. And it's, yeah, finding the time if I were to
Yeah.
do it
Well,
properly.
it's also having the money to do it versus doing it on your own, and even wondering whether or not
Yeah.
it makes sense to do videos anymore. No one's really it's the age of the video.
Hard, isn't it? Yeah. People
Well,
like
it had its day, and it's like anything else, right?
yeah,
You know?
I think people still like a video. I just think videos
Yeah.
sometimes are a bit naff. So it's like, yeah, well, I was going to say adverts, but no, no one likes an advert
Yeah.
most of the time. But yeah, I think it's good to have a video there for a visual.
Mhm.
Um, Half the time, anything I don't have, people notice I don't have it, and then they'll be like, "Why have you not got a video for this?" Or "Why have you done this?" And you're like, "Oh goodness sake, like, I'm getting there." Okay, that's the next thing on my thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you have got everything, then at least everybody likes different things, don't they? So there's somebody out there that really does like to see a video. So it's like, well, there you go. There's a video for you. So I've sort of got over trying to see about how many likes or how many, like, it's so difficult, this world, because when you think about going back to David Bowie or Freddie Mercury, they're not need to look at all these people and what they're commenting there. Do you know what I mean? You're not then looking at other people going, oh, well, why do they get more views than I get views? And so I've sort of had to just take a back seat to go, look, I'm sharing it, so it's there if anyone wants to watch it. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't, but it's there. So go ahead and look. But yeah, it is very what do people want?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's one thing I never worried about. Because quite frankly, I don't care.
I think that's the way to be, is to go. You don't, do you know what I mean? You do what you want to do. And there's someone that I follow and on social media, I'm not harassing people. And I follow her on Instagram, and I've met her at different music festivals, and she's fantastic, great musician. There's so many great musicians out there that you're like, why are you not getting noticed like you should do? And sometimes she can just be getting a few likes, but it doesn't stop her posting. It doesn't stop her putting on there. And I admire her. I go, well, good for you, because it is that thing of, well, I don't care. I want to post this. I want to share this. And
the moment you start worrying about what other people think, it's paralyzing.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it just stops you from doing stuff. So
yeah, and it's taken me a lot of years to finally go.
It's a hard fought lesson. So David Bowie, big influence. Who else? Who else are your influences?
Freddie Mercury.
Okay.
Joni Mitchell.
Oh, okay. We'll have a long talk about that. One of my favorites.
Joni Mitchell. Oh, is she? How she changes through the years.
Listen, Court and Spark is
just stunning.
Just stunning. It is
incredible. She's just incredible.
No, there's parts on that record that just continue to blow me away.
Yeah. I think it's timeless. She is timeless. And it's just when you put songs of hers together with the later, you go, what the hell? How is that? You don't even sound like the same person here. It's a complete. And do you know when sometimes people have gone about artists and about, they've sold out or whatever because they've changed, but she changed because she wanted to change. She went with herself, and you completely hear that in everything she's doing. No one's told her that she needs to. Well, they might have said, "Can you please write us another?" What is it? Oh gosh, I've got someone else in my head now. Yellow Taxi. They probably wanted her to carry on. Do you know what I mean? But I was thinking Tracy Chapman's another one of mine. I always sort of say to people, I'm the love child of Tracy Chapman and Stevie Nicks. Like, so the hippiness of Stevie Nicks. But I once in Australia had a woman come running down to me while I was busking and went, I had to come and see who that voice was. I thought you were going to be a man. And I was like, oh, wonderful. And she went, and as you get older, it'll just carry on like that. So yeah, where Tracy Chapman had that low, soulful, like, for years when I was younger, I'd always get confused. Was it a male voice or a female voice? So yeah, love child of Tracy Chapman and Stevie Nicks. But it's funny because growing up, these weren't people I really listened to growing up. I was very musical theatre, and I was very schoolgirl into like boy bands and stuff like that. So Annie Lennox really would be somebody, because I used to go through my mum and dad's albums. Texas, I used to, because my mum told me to sing with the radio, I used to put a CD on and sit on the edge of the couch looking in the mirror and try and like sing along and really have emotion for the song. And so yeah, Annie Lennox, Texas, and even Cliff Richard at times. Like, I don't know, my mum loved Cliff Richard at some points.
Well, he had a long career.
He did have a
successful career.
Wired for Sound. That was my jam. That was love dancing around to that. So yeah, it's funny, the people I ended up growing to sort of go idolize, it was later on in my life. And Freddie Mercury and Bowie, it's just because of how they were. George Michael as well, his voice is insane, and I didn't rate him as a child, and it was only once he passed away that I was like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
Praying for Time is an incredible,
No,
uh,
he had a wonderful voice.
and just what
Messed
he
up
was
life,
about.
but a wonderful voice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, it seemed like the most humble. He was
Yeah.
like giving to charities and no one even knew. They only knew when he passed away. And he just seemed like he was like a nice guy. A lot happening to him because he was a young lad needing to come out in media as
Yeah.
being
Mhm.
gay. So, and I think
Yeah.
that,
Well, I also think he was from a very conservative family. They were
uh,
Iranian or something like that, weren't they?
yeah, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got to have, then being out in, it's already hard enough in your own
Yeah.
bubble, let alone when the
Yeah.
world.
But he was from a very conservative world.
Yeah, yeah,
Very sort of, very traditionalist, immigrant family. It wasn't sort of he wasn't the child of hippies.
yes, yeah,
I guess
yeah,
is the way to
yeah,
put it, right?
yeah.
It would have
And
been the anti-hippies almost.
when he then, because what was it, Freedom, when he burned
Yeah.
the leather jacket and
Mhm.
he refused to be on because wasn't there copyright? Like the label wanted him to record certain things, and his way of getting around it was to not being in the videos. It wasn't like what Prince did, where it's like, "Oh, I'm going to change my name then," and it's
Yeah.
like these people really just saying a massive no. Do you know what? No, I own this. This is mine. I
Yeah.
respect these people.
Although with Prince, it's a funny story because it seems the whole thing was his obsession with getting a bigger record contract than Michael Jackson had gotten.
Is that the
And
case?
that
I always
was
think that,
that was what drove the whole problems with the record label and then the deal that he got, right?
yeah,
That he wanted to get out of and he changed his whole name
yeah.
was because although he had this like number in mind, like signing for $10 million or whatever it was, he got that, but it wasn't a very good record deal,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
it was in a weird way, it was his,
But was it
yeah,
the same
I
people?
saw a documentary about it. It was really sort of fun. I'm hoping I'm not messing it up, but it was something like that because you
I
get
know
the
it's her, yeah, no,
about
but
it
you
of wanting the
sound like
biggest record deal of all time, and the upfront number was great, but it was really he'd only have come out well if every record had sold as well as Purple Rain,
right,
and
yeah,
you're not going to get that, you
no,
know,
yeah.
twice. Well, unless you're Michael Jackson, right?
But he didn't write them though, did he?
Nah, Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
No,
I thought that
he wrote
he
a
had
lot of
quite
them.
a few.
He
Ben,
he co-wrote a lot, but
oh, he
he
was
wrote a lot.
co-writing, right,
He wrote
okay.
a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He was that talented, you know.
yeah,
They
yeah,
both were. I mean, Prince is astonishing.
yeah.
When
He
you
like
think of like his first record, he was 17, I think,
that's
when it came out,
crazy.
right? And he
Yeah,
played everything on it.
yeah.
Like
Like
you
David
could play
Grohl.
every single record, you could play every single instrument.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And how can you just how does that happen? That's got to be pure talent to be that age
Yeah.
and already able to do that. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, work at a craft, always work at a craft, but there's some people
Well,
that
but
just
yeah, but it's opportunity as well. I think as he came from a very musical family or from a
ah,
family that really encouraged it,
yeah.
because you're only going to learn the drums if there are drums.
No, that's very
You know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You're only going to learn how to play the bass if you have access to a bass.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think it was something like that. But he was precociously talented.
yeah. No,
You know,
incredible.
a
He
lot of them were. I mean, Stevie Wonder was the same thing.
yes, I
I
love
mean,
Stevie Wonder. Yes.
and there's some really interesting stories from the period when he did his really good albums. There was that whole period where he did all the very innovative stuff,
Yeah.
and with a lot of those, he played everything on them as well.
Wow.
Like he
Yeah,
played the
he's
drums. He was
good.
like a really, really, really talented drummer.
Oh, was
Oh
he?
yeah. No, he
Oh
was
gosh.
really like all that, the superstition, all of that
Yes.
stuff. That's
Is it
all
him?
him basically one
Oh my
man downing it,
gosh.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he was
And he could play
incredible.
everything. And he was just
Yeah,
but what can you say? I mean, you got to be one. I find it wonderful because otherwise you're just going to get so jealous that
yeah, you gotta
like
just sort of go
yeah.
work to it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
I think
exactly.
I was saying to somebody the other day, because there's so many talented people in this world that I think sometimes it could eat you up. Do you know what I mean? You could either let it eat you up, or you could let it go, actually no, I've got to do better, or just work towards it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it can eat you up. I normally just say, just see what your differences are, see what you're able to, you might be good at. So somebody once who once said that I intimidate them on stage, and I thought, bloody hell, like, I've never, that's quite a statement. I said to them, like, but the thing is that maybe my voice is powerful, but you can harmonize, you can play every instrument that is thrown at you, and I can't do that. I
Yeah.
respect you for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's remembering these things, because then I'll come across singers who have really powerful voices, and then I'll go, damn, well, that was my thing, and now they've got that too. But again, you've still got to go, but great, we need more people, we need to, and it's like these messages that people have, and just support each other really, and hope that one of us makes it, and it's not just people that have been churned out of whatever they've decided are going to be released, really.
Yeah. And listen, I think as well, it's when you can figure out a good level of success for yourself, that's the key.
Yeah.
I think the artists that chase after something,
and
the biggest problem is that when they get it.
But I don't know why anybody would really want fame. The last thing I want, all I want to be able to do.
Well, but some people, it's like Bowie. That was his whole thing.
Oh, he did want the fame.
Oh, he was obsessed with it.
Like,
he was obsessed with becoming a star.
Yeah.
Right from a very young age.
Yeah.
You know, as was Mark Boland.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so. And it destroyed Mark Boland.
Yeah.
Right? And Bowie somehow, I don't know, he tried to kill himself, but it didn't work.
Oh, he did?
Well, I mean, the amount of cocaine he was imbibing.
This is the thing.
It's surprising he made it out of LA.
Yeah.
After that whole period. But I mean, that had been going on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Right?
Got to take a strong character, though, that he managed to sort of come out the other side and sort of not be unfazed. I'm sure he had his demons or whatever, but to still, he had so much respect. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll just watch him on interviews and just be like, what? He's just he's a character to watch, isn't he? And
listen, he was the ultimate chameleon.
Yeah, and good for him that he did come out of it. Do you know what I mean? He got out the other side, because, like you say, some people don't. They get suckered into it, and I think that's why I'm quite happy that it's now that I'm older that I'm sort of starting to get a bit further with my music, because I sort of know myself a bit more to be like, oh, and that's not going to be good for you. Because I just think, gosh, if I was 17 and suddenly shoved into the limelight, like, look at Amy Winehouse, and the poor, like, she was incredible, but I just think you're too young to be going through all that.
But you know what it is as well, and you're a good example of it. It's that rush from performing live. Like, that adrenaline rush from that is indescribable to anyone who's never been on stage, right? There is no drug better than that feeling when you get off stage after you've nailed it. There's nothing.
No, it's true.
Nothing. There's no drug that comes anywhere close to that euphoria. And then you're trying to climb down from that. And you finish at 1:00 in the morning or whatever, right? High as a kite on that. I mean, you're a problem waiting to happen.
Yeah, no, right? It's very true, very true.
And that's why so many of them get so caught up in the whole lifestyle.
Yeah, because you need to be up the next day as well.
You're not up the next day at 9 to go to work, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy, and you're either chasing that high when you're not getting it again, or you're trying to find ways to come down from it.
Yeah.
And it's tragic how often that it happens.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is.
And how many great careers, like Amy Winehouse. just
Yeah,
got cut short because of it, right?
I know. And whether that's people around, because you sort of also go the paparazzi following her the
Yeah,
way they did, and it's like you got to remember these people are humans, like, and when somebody's really not in the place, there should
yeah,
be some sort of
yeah. But it's
rule.
also all the hanger-ons, and
Yeah,
then with a lot of them, the other problem is injuries. You
yeah,
know, because both Michael Jackson and Prince, they both died of overdoses, right?
yeah,
These were on basically like OxyContin type stuff.
right.
And in both cases, with Michael Jackson, he had all the problems after he from the burning. Remember, it's when his hair
Oh
caught on
yeah, of
fire.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he had problems with that for the rest of his life.
yeah.
So he was on painkillers for that.
Right.
And I think with Prince, he fell off stage at one point in one
Oh
show
gosh.
and
Yeah.
screwed up his back.
Ow.
Right, so
Yeah,
he had like constant back pain.
yeah.
And then you get all the hangers on around them, the yes men and the yes people and whatever,
Mm,
you know, and I think that's what you were talking about, not wanting to be famous.
yeah,
The problem with fame is you have to at some point isolate yourself to have anything resembling a normal life.
yeah. Because you look at
Um,
some people and you go, how they manage Adele. Adele is very good for
yeah,
when she releases an album, you'll see her everywhere because she's got to be doing the fruit. But
yeah,
not hates people, but she just wants a
yeah,
normal life. She wants a
yeah.
normal life.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
think it's
or
also
you have to be one of these people who just loves it, right? Loves
yeah,
the
yeah,
adulation. They're out there. They have the greatest time in their life, and they have no problem with it.
yeah.
But
I
if
don't know
you're
how people
not,
do that, keeping their voice though, because
yeah, well,
you, I went to have a vocal check the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, you got a very energetic way of speaking. Like, so we're going to need to do vocal training or speech training
hmm
because obviously, if I'm then to do a gig, like you said, you'll do a 2-3 hour gig, and then they want you to do interviews afterwards. Like, it's too
yeah,
much for any singer, let alone talking like you are." So I was like, "All right, okay."
yeah,
So next
yeah.
time you hear from me, I'll be like, "Hello, how are you doing?"
Hello. What do you want?
Very calm and collected, as they're meant to look.
Yeah. So,
But yeah,
anything else on the horizon? Are you planning on? When are you writing your first musical?
my year's musical. Do you know what? Someone actually the other day posted saying that they were writing a musical about anxiety and if people were about to write some music for it. And I was going through songs that I've even started, and I was like, oh, could I send stuff for this? But I think because everything's so up at the moment, I was like, I don't know if I've got the time to do that. I've really got to be concentrating on what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So really, at the moment, it is getting prepared to save some money, go to Paris, get that recorded, get that released next year. I'm going to do a little tour around England, do some camping, hopefully spread the word of the music. And then, yeah, hopefully then do some traveling again with it all, really. Like I
nice.
say, all I want to do is just be able to survive
Yeah,
with music, really, and to share my music with people because I feel like there's reasons why I write and what I write for. Do you know what I mean? Like, though they're
sure.
very good for me, where it's
Yeah.
therapeutic for me, I also try and write thinking from other people and
hmm
hoping it touches them the way that I've been touched by
Of
people's
course.
music. So, in a way, I do want it to go and spread for people to
hmm
know it. But can you have a little bit of both? Everybody like
Potentially.
yeah, so
Yeah.
at the moment, that's the main thing on there. Hopefully, we're going to get some videos done. So, really, it's all about just getting a bit more out there. So, then when I'm wanting to do festivals, there's a bit more there for them to
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, hopefully get around the world then, come back to Canada, let you know.
Oh no, no, definitely. As long as I'm in Toronto.
Yes, I'll let
You
you
know,
know. I'll let you
we
know.
can definitely get together. I'm very close to Kensington Market. We can go
Oh,
there.
lovely. We'll go there then. Get coffee.
Go there on a
Um,
pedestrian Sunday.
a pedestrian Sunday.
Yes, well, every once a month in summer they close it down for from traffic, and the whole
Oh,
thing becomes a
right.
street festival. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Music
Yeah. Yeah.
festival.
No, no, just well, there's all kinds of buskers, and then
Yeah.
I think they've got two marching bands
Oh, lovely.
that
I
are
love
all
it.
but they're the sort of Brazilian style. with a
Yeah.
lot of percussion.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, and
Yeah,
there's a
I like
couple
that.
of them that'll perform, and
Yeah,
yeah.
because next time I come, I do want to do some busking.
Oh yeah, well that's probably one of the better places.
Yeah.
But you should check out as well because there's all kinds of designated spots. Although it's complicated in Toronto, you have to audition. You know, it's like
Oh, you do?
it's one of those things where there's designated spots on like the
Yeah.
subway, but
Which
you
I
have to audition, and they sort of choose who they want and who they don't want type
right.
thing. So
Hopefully they let me do one over the phone or something.
yeah, yeah,
But then again,
yeah.
I'd hope
Well,
that
I doubt in Kensington if anyone, just
they just
make
rock
some
up.
friends, and you should be
Yeah.
okay.
That would be my hope because, like, when I visit my brother, then it would just be a case of I'd probably stay for a while. Obviously, if music's doing all right, that again I can just survive on my busking and whatever, then
Yeah.
yeah, I'd just stay for a while and just do a little tour around. So, and then I would have passed my test for a bit longer then because I only passed in February, so it's not like I could be driving this time. So yeah, we'll see
Oh,
about
very nice.
yeah, and my dad went to Vancouver, and I saw the pictures of Vancouver, and I like Vancouver. I need to go to Vancouver when I next come as well. So
Just go in summer.
summer, why is it? Oh yeah, because it's so cold, isn't it?
It's no, no, no. It's in the middle of a rainforest.
Oh,
Guess what?
right, right, yeah. I'll make sure it's summer. I'll make sure it's
Yeah,
summer.
yeah. No, in summer it's beautiful. It's very nice.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of the year it rains, and then it rains, and it rains some more.
Oh
It's
no.
funny. I went years ago for the first time to visit friends, and it was in October. It was around this time of year, and I was there for a week, and I didn't see the sun. It was cloudy every single day.
Oh no.
Or just wait for this. Everyone I met is like, "Oh, you're so lucky. You came. The weather has been just great." And it's like the sun, and I'm thinking, are these people all like, what is going on? And then I finally realized in Vancouver, when you can sort of see the sun through the clouds,
Oh,
you
that's
know
the
that where you see
thing.
like the sun and the
Yeah.
clouds behind the clouds, that's considered sunny. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go in
But
summer.
literally, I thought, are you people losing your minds? It's like every day, it rained every day. The humidity is like, it's so humid, there's like mold everywhere, right?
Oh
Well,
gosh,
because it's
yeah.
humid, it
But
rains
yeah,
a
but of
lot,
course
right?
it will be.
And
Yeah.
it's gorgeous, but it's like between, and what'll happen is the system will come in, and it'll get trapped behind the mountains, and it'll just
Right.
stay there for days and
Oh,
days and just pour
yeah.
down rain. And I mean rain, not like torrential rain type stuff.
Oh
Anyway,
no. Summer. I'll be there summer. Thank
yeah.
you for
But
giving me a
I've heard
few.
May and June are the nicest. So
Right, May and June. I thought you were saying, but
just to
don't do
plan,
May
and
and
you'll
June
get to
over
go through
summer.
the Rockies before. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I need
Uh,
to. I look
yeah.
forward to be able to do a bit more, to be honest, because obviously their wedding kept getting put off because of COVID. So there
Mm,
was so many plans I had, and then as it
yeah.
went on, I was like, okay, I can only really afford to do the 10 days, and then we'll know I'll be coming back at another point. It gave me a good little tester,
Oh, that's
little
good.
yeah,
That's good.
see what I thought. But yeah,
And
beautiful.
it's not far away. It's a nice, reasonable flight, unlike Australia or New Zealand.
Yeah,
It's like a nice 5-hour flight or whatever it is. So
yeah, it's better to fly. Take me too
yes,
long. I need to be there
and
a long
a
time.
little bit
It'll be a
cheaper
proper
as
road
well.
trip. So yeah, I get that. So it's also that's the thing. It's then knowing you've got the money that you're able to do all these things. But hey, hopefully things will.
Well, with any luck, we'll see you here, and definitely contact me before, and we'll see that. It's also, I'm surprised. I mean, you would be a great act to do the folk circuit as well.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. This is the
Maybe
thing.
pick up an acoustic guitar, because
Well,
I
I'm
don't
getting
know.
there. Don't you worry.
Yeah,
I'm
well, I mean,
gonna,
it's not far off from a ukulele. It's a little
no.
heavier, a little bigger.
I took it to an open mic the other day because I'd had a few paid
Yeah,
gigs and I felt a bit guilty taking my guitar where I'm still not very good. And on one of them, it was lovely because I was trying to play Blackbird, but you play at home, you're fine. You get in front of people
yeah.
and suddenly you're messing it up. So I was like, right. And then someone was like, no, keep trying to do it. So I think I tried it 5 times and I went, I'm really sorry, but I need to move on to another song and I'll come and give you a private rendition of Blackbird afterwards. But obviously they liked it, but I don't like going to gigs being like that. So I went to open
Yeah.
mic. It sounds very dodgy.
Oh, as this practice, right?
Exactly, and it's getting
And-
used to playing it in front of people. So that's where open mics are very good for that. So
yeah.
we'll get there. By the time I'm coming to Canada, you'll see me with my
Excellent.
my little
It's
electric
very
guitar.
good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
excellent. So one last question before I let you go that I
Yes.
ask everyone. So what was the first tape, record, CD that you bought with your own money when you were a kid?
Oh gosh.
What was the first thing that
I
was
think I'll
so
be embarrassed
exciting
of
to you
telling you.
musically, you just had to go out and buy it?
See, my own money. I think do you know what? This is going to be really embarrassing, but I'll just show you my fangirlness when I was younger.
Yeah.
A1. I was obsessed by A1. So I'm guessing it would have been them, but it might have been Busted because they were the people that I was absolutely in love with at that age. So embarrassingly
Yeah.
so. But at
Oh,
least I was about 15, so maybe
yeah.
I'm still allowed it.
Listen, at that age, we all have terrible music taste.
Do you know what I mean?
Or
Terrible.
mostly, although once in a while I've asked it to a few people and they've come out with really good selections like, wow, you know what I mean?
Did you
That's a
really
good,
buy that?
unlike me, I wasn't good. It's like mine was pure top 10 pop trash, right? But
It's like
it's interesting because I still have that love of pop music, right? Like a
yeah, yeah.
well-crafted pop song, really catchy, something
It
that,
still takes
that,
me back to when I was younger.
of
And me
course.
and my friend used to send emails saying that we loved him the most. I think it was Matt J. Willis. I love Matt J. Willis, and we just sent emails just with that full of it. And we recorded videos from the TV and when you had videos, and yeah, would record the program that was on TV and everything. Very into them. So yeah, that would have been my first for sure.
Anyway, thank you so much, Emily. It was a
Thanks
real
for having
pleasure.
me. Oh,
Good
it's
luck.
been
Good luck
lovely.
with the release. Good luck with next time in the studio in January.
Ah, yes, yes.
I hope you have a great time in Paris doing that, and I'm sure we'll get back together when you're releasing that next record.
Nice one. No, loved it.
Excellent.
Thanks so much
Anyways,
for having
stay on the line, and we'll say our goodbyes
me. Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for everyone for joining and
Oh,
watching through to the end. Please subscribe, please like, please pass on the word, and have a wonderful day.